Hey guys, we're here. In this video, I want to talk about some of the most common mistakes which I've seen by hiring junior and also middleweight designers in the past years. So one of the very first things to keep in mind about the UI UX design process is that it's not only about you, meaning that it's a collective endeavor which you should strive to understand what is the company goals, what are the current problems, and you're going to do that by not just doing research yourself, but involving also other team members. In fact, one of the most crucial things is to understand that each and every team member in the company is going to help you, and especially each and every division, it can really help you to gain some really useful data for making better processes and coming up with better UI UX design solutions. For example, when it comes to content, you might be asking questions to the CEO or the marketing department, or even better, directly to the users. So this is one of the things that you have to keep in mind, because as you're going in Figma and you're just designing all day, for example, over here we have Uber's design system. It's really easy for us designers to get into the nitty-gritty of making the perfect design, which looks pixel perfect and has all of these amazing looking visuals and transitions and basically states. But one of the most important things is to keep in mind the overall picture, even if you're not hired to do that, because part of it, of course, is going to come down to the company managers and all that. But your UI UX solutions should be created with you having context in which, like basically where you're operating and where you are in the process. So this is a really important thing to consider. And also another thing which I see often as a mistake is lack of design consistency. And for this reason, creating even a basic design system, it shouldn't necessarily be something as complicated and as curated as this one for each and every project, especially if you're working as a freelancer where you might be juggling multiple clients at a time. And that actually reminded me of a question that one of the students in my course asked, and that is how to actually juggle multiple design systems, and each and every design system should be the same. And the answer really is it depends, meaning that if you're doing a one-off web design page for a client, you can just set up a very basic design system. So just something that could help you lay the foundation for the future pages of that project. But most of the times you won't really need to go into all that much depth. So this is something to keep in mind. Design consistency, super important, especially for the brand identity and how the software is going to be perceived by the user, because consistency is definitely one of those qualities that is going to make first of all for a better UI UX design experience, but secondarily in order to look more professional and trustworthy as a consequence. Now, another thing to keep in mind is not trying to follow the competition too closely, and neither design leaders. So one of the most common things which I hear is, the client really wanted a website like Stripe or Apple, or, enter a big name company in the mix. And although taking inspiration is totally fine, you shouldn't really think in a box when it comes to these elements. So, for example, a Stripe website, undeniably really good looking, but is it going to be the best solution for each and every client? Short answer is no. And it really depends what the client does and how you're actually going to solve the problem for them, and what they want or need to communicate in order to make the business grow and reach their KPIs at scale. So definitely keep these things in mind. And the very last tip which I have for you, and this is a very common mistake which I see not only from the designer perspective, but also from the CEOs and the managers who don't really take the time to test the UI UX design solutions. This is really important because it's going to enable you to gather some really crucial feedback as to how the final product is actually perceived, and is it actually solving the problem for the users. And people think that whenever we're talking about usability testing and user research and prototyping, in that sense, you have to create some very complex studies with hundreds or dozens of people, and this couldn't be further from the truth. What I usually like to do is to create an MVP of the product and then try to test it with anywhere between like 2 to 4 users. That is definitely a sweet spot. You can do 3 to 6, but usually most of the pain points, if any, are going to occur between the very first studies. So you're going to essentially see right away what are the potential problems and what are the things that you should improve in your UI UX design solution. So this is pretty much it for this video. Hope it was helpful. If you want to learn more about the UI UX design process, I have over 500 videos on my YouTube channel, and I myself have been a UI UX designer for a decade. So feel free to check it out, and I'll see you in the very next video.